Well, I want to thank all of you for being with us tonight. It's such a treat, and I want to thank Hyde for putting together such a thought-provoking and wonderful exhibition. It's a great opportunity for us to learn more about different artists and just the theme of kind of looking at the body in a very different way, complementing kind of the other side of the coin of the exhibition that's at the Dallas Museum of Art. So thank you for putting this together and allowing us to enjoy it. I have the treat tonight of being in conversation with New Orleans-based artist Nina Schwanse, and the way we're going to proceed tonight, after a brief introduction, is I will have Nina present some clips of her various projects, and then we're going to have a brief conversation. So, and then after that, some questions and answers. So a very kind of informal format tonight. But just to get started, so you know all about Nina's career and studies. Born in Los Angeles, Nina is a multidisciplinary artist who lives and works in New Orleans. With the development of complex characters and using a great deal of humor, she's able to enact very unusual narratives that involve physical and psychological trauma, in which she features herself as the model or as the actor within her projects. By often using A, B, C, and D list celebrities and historical figures, she looks at the intersection of the public and the private as it relates to issues of fantasy, desire, obsession, celebrity, and anxiety. By enacting roles that are at times both empowering and humiliating, often at the same time within the same project, she creates alternative histories of cultural regression and transcendence through acts of re-representation and representation of the self. In 2005, she earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts at the Cooper Union in New York City, and in 2012, she earned her Master of Fine Arts degree at the University of New Orleans. Her work has been featured in group shows at the Barrister Gallery in New Orleans, the Contemporary Arts Center in New Orleans, Gallery 461 in New York, the Center for Performance Research in Brooklyn, New York, Gallery 400 Chicago, the Philadelphia Institute for Advanced Study, Arthur Roger Gallery in New Orleans, and the New York Underground Film Festival in 2007. Solo exhibitions include Art for Art's Sake, or a show at Art for Art's Sake in New Orleans, aka the work of Nina Schwanse at Andex Art in Fort Worth, and the University of New Orleans Gallery recently. And we're going to talk about her recent one-person exhibition that opened at Good Children Gallery a little bit later tonight. So without further ado, let's all welcome Nina and see some of her work.
Hi, thank you, Beth. I'd like to thank you for your wonderful introduction. Thanks, Hyde, for including me in this exhibition, bringing me here, and thanks, Mona, for organizing this. Yeah, I guess tonight there's several themes that kind of run through my work that I think also have a lot in common with this exhibition here. And one is the use of the body and in relation to trauma and humiliation. Not necessarily humiliation as a negative thing, but as something that we all experience to different degrees in our interactions with other people and in our performance of, just ourselves, and if we're performing, I guess, a role for something else too, which I do. And I'm starting with this slide of Amy Fisher because I was fascinated with Amy Fisher for many years. In case you don't know who Amy Fisher is, she was like, I did a talk to like college students and they had no idea and I didn't realize it. But she attempted to kill her boyfriend's wife by shooting her in the face in the 90s, and it was a big tabloid thing before the internet. I used to be really fascinated by these like femme fatales of the 90s who made all the, those like weekly, so Amy Fisher, I start with her. This was before she even went into a porn career, but she is like just one of the most humiliated women, and she's not very good at like bringing herself back up out of that either. She just continues to humiliate herself. But also this image from her book, because in addition to portraiture and self-portraiture, I look at people's like autobiographies as performances of themselves also. And I come from more of a painting background. So when I got out of Cooper, I was doing a lot of painting. Even though I was doing video at the same time, I sort of was working more on my paintings. So I started this series of paintings of Amy Fisher, just trying to sort of like give her some respect back by doing these portraits. They didn't really go anywhere, but I'm just showing them as a background. And I just like, with these painting projects, I couldn't really, they got more and more ugly and disgusting too. But I was finding like beauty in, being able to give her some kind of expression. And I just like couldn't get to the essence of what I was trying to say. So then I was like, oh, well, I'll just make a video and I'll play Amy Fisher. That's online, but I basically used her autobiography as a resource and took her words and appropriated her as a personality and a character. And that's how my whole kind of way of working began, was with Amy Fisher. I deal with a lot of different things, and one is like the body and the sex industry, advertising, athletics, and popular sports. And so throughout this talk, things are going to sort of circle and come back around. But I was really interested in like the idea of a bikini car wash. So this was my first venture into the bikini car wash. So I made this little commercial where I'm like posing with simple green, because the idea is that it's an organic car wash. I actually used a smart car in the video. Here are stills from that, and I just shot this like in my studio. I just had a still camera, so I just edited together a bunch of stills. And then I went to the car wash in a bikini and watched my car get washed, which was very humiliating. And at the same time, so I wanted to kind of like reverse this role, or just also play with, I think in this project, with class also, going in as, rather than being the female in front of the car, in front of the camera, performing the washing. I want to be this passive observer who is still being watched by the people at the car wash. So this is much older. And I felt just really exploitive doing this, but this was one of those situations. Oh, I meant to mention Wayne Kostenbaum, because that's, I had never really thought about humiliation in this way, as this like exchange between people, until I started reading this book, and I was like, oh, that's what my work has been about, like for so long, are these experiences of like, I'm uncomfortable watching you perform this task right now, or someone with a disability like that, it's making me uncomfortable, but you're uncomfortable, and just this really awkward exchange. And so this was such an exchange. And I believe this is a video. And then this is actually a collaborative project where I'm sort of jumping all over the place, but that's just how my mind kind of works. I'll just play this. This is like a little commercial I made where I played several characters. It's called Homegrown.
Live out any of your wildest fantasies. Things you could only have dreamed about before. We all have our needs, even if we are married. And if we're not, these services are certainly cheaper than being married. Sex, anytime, is always beneficial to you, as it releases endorphins and makes you happy. There are cute girls, high class, young girls, wild girls, the sensual type, grass-fed, Free range, homegrown, farm fresh. For all reasons and seasons. Any girl you can imagine is waiting for you at homegrownservices.com.
Okay, so yeah, that's sort of a precursor to a project I'm going to talk about a little bit later also, but I'm sort of doing things chronologically. Yeah, so I started doing these commercials that were kind of sexual. Then I did one about these two cars who were sort of having this battle about which car was sexiest, and one's an SUV and one is an Insight. So sort of like objectifying these objects and trying to make them sexy. And this is called My Honda. And I have a lot of videos, so I'm not showing you all of them, but most of them are available online. And here, and I actually got my dad to play this, be the hand model for this, which is really interesting because when I was a child, I hand modeled in my dad's commercials. So this is like a really strange psychological reversal of that. I was able to kind of like get back at him for making me have to turn the Barbie's head to look at the camera. And then I went to grad school at the University of New Orleans, and I guess my sort of scattered interests in celebrity and self-portraiture, self-representation, and appropriation sort of started to come together a little more. So I did this project where I played 9 different women named Kate from the media, sort of loosely. So you've got like Kate Winslet up there, Kate Moss, Kate Spade, the handbag designer, and I made a video with them. And this was sort of like my first big challenge to, transform myself with like makeup and hair. So I'll play a clip from that.
Oh yes, hello, how are you? There were mixed reviews of my performance. Around 75 women of different shapes, sizes, ethnicities, and ages auditioned to play me. We're trying to handle things privately, but so much is in the public eye. It really was quite an extraordinary experience to be in that room with all those extraordinary people. I was discovered at age 14 at the JFK airport. My big break was playing a groupie. Hey, I've got a crush on both of you. Maybe we can party. You also have to be very good in business. That's where I excel.
So, and the idea came from the Google drop-down menu.
Hi, it's Kate. Kate Beckinsale. Hi, it's Kate Winslet. Hi, I'm Kate Spade. I'm a handbag designer. Kate Moss. Kate Austin. Kate Walsh. I'm an Aries. I am an Aries. I'm a Gemini. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Libra. I'm a Libra. I am a Leo, and I'm an actress. I'm an actress. Movie star. I'm a mom and a wife and a celebrity, I guess. And unfortunately, a celebrity. I'm an actress. You might know me for my role playing the sexy doctor on network television shows. I'm a central character in the ABC television series Lost, Grey's Anatomy, and its spin-off Private Practice. I come from a very creative family. I'm known for my very thin body type. It's a new trend in Hollywood. I suffer stomach ulcers. I dislike makeup. My worst subject in school was physical education. I'm a supermodel, but I'm really the anti-supermodel. I actually happened to be anorexic at the time, because my waifish figure is really not like Cindy Crawford or Claudia, whatever her name is. I have very large feet, so I quite prefer to wear boots. I'm a fugitive, a survivor. My bust size in 1996 was a 34C, and I actually have a hazel splotch on the lower half of my right eye. A runaway, a criminal. I formerly worked at Mademoiselle in the art and accessory department. I murdered my father. I left when I realized the need for stylish and sensible handbags. It's funny, my first major TV...
So that goes on for a while, and I really like all the dialogue for that. I appropriated from like Wikipedia or their interviews that they had done on television shows, and then I embellished it a little bit and kind of challenged me to really like study a person and go into character, which I never thought I would ever do because I've never been in acting and I have stage fright and I'm not a performer. So, but that was the origin of like taking that to that level. And at the same time, I was painting and doing these portraits, and this recurs also these like serial portraits of JonBenet Ramsey. So I created this website that was meant to sort of like replace like a Google search result for her. It didn't work because I'm kind of technologically inept at that kind of stuff. I can basically just like lay these photos in, but so I made 100 paintings of JonBenet Ramsey and put them up here. But with the same kind of ideas I had started with Amy Fisher, to sort of give some like life into these like really dead images that you find like repeated over and over on Google image search. Except with Amy Fisher, I had been painting from magazine clippings I found from like the picture collection at the library. Here, this was just the standard photo of her online, and I wanted to put some kind of like gesture back onto the internet. Apologies for just being all over the place. And I was in New Orleans, and in grad school was my first semester there, and the Saints were like doing really well in football, and everyone was just talking about football all the time. And so I started watching football, and then the Saints won the Super Bowl, which was crazy, and everyone was like so happy, and everyone, even like artists, like even, you know, marginal kind of personalities. Everyone was so excited. And I was like, well, I wonder how Peyton Manning feels because he lost. So I started just, you know, thinking about Peyton Manning a lot because, I mean, he's so used to winning everything. If you know anything about sports, he's been like the MVP, like had 4 times up until then. And he's just this mutant, like giant figure. He's like this masculine being who's capable of anything, and he has like the craziest ego. So I was like, well, what if I wanted to be like Peyton Manning? So I sort of became obsessed with him, not really, but started going into like an artist character who was obsessed with him and doing these like sports posters. And then also I started doing these like autograph signature paintings and I kind of thought of them not only as a way of sort of like embodying this like masculine gesture, like Abex kind of thing, like a Cy Twombly, but Anna Pollock, but also as it's somehow relating to the celebrity autograph also, and how these people repeat their autograph over again and over again and over again, signing things for their fans, and so I turned those into drawings, and I made this video that's online. It's really long. But I went to the beach, like, and this was crazy too, right before the oil spill there. I shot this in Gulfport, Mississippi. So this is just like, this is this distraught football fan who loves Peyton Manning. And then back to the more stuff that relates more to that homegrown video I showed. I created this faux porn site. It's like a faux webcam site called Babe Rental, where I played 12 different characters. I'll open it up. This exists on the internet. And I think at this point, I don't know. I was doing like these sports things and then these like sex things at the same time. And I don't know what the correlation between that is exactly, but one was super masculine, like trying to, thinking about the impossibility of having the physique of like this huge strong man, and then at the same time wanting to like take control of like thinking about women taking control of like the image of their sexuality in the very feminine. So here's this website, and if you click on these animated GIFs, it opens. It's supposed to look like a live stream, but it's not, and that's a joke in there too. So each of these opens up. And this is when I first started thinking about using like the internet as like a gallery space and making projects that weren't just for, you know, an art audience in a white cube, that you could actually engage the public just by having, well, for one, this is like, I think, the best kind of public art are websites, because almost everyone can access them. So in order to promote my website, I made all these call girl cards that, you know, sort of mimic like the Vegas flicker, the guys who like stand on the corner and flick those cards at you. So out of the 12, there's 12 characters. They all have like a different, you know, thing about them. Those are the cards. I also made mouse pads, so I thought that would be appropriate, that the mouse would be on the pad and you would have to like, you know, rub it around on the different girls, then click somewhere. And I felt a little like this was, I really liked that this was beyond my control, and people were like, well, how do you know how many people went to the website? You know, well, I don't, you know, and I kind of liked that about it. But after a couple months, I was like, I need to do something a little bit more active with this. Like, I had made those videos in like the solitude of my studio. So I combined all 12 of the characters into this one character and went out on Bourbon Street in New Orleans and like engaged with the public. So I'll show you a few minutes of that too.
Bear rental. Where are we going? $200?
Which way is
Babe.
Where's
oh,
Bourbon?
Babe rental here. Let me get a.
Bourbon? It's that way.
Oh, this is the wrong.
This ain't Bourbon.
Hey, this is the wrong.
This is not. Is it? Let me.
This is Bourbon, baby.
You better stop. You're so hot. You gotta take a picture. Take a picture, baby. What is that? Is that condoms? Girl. Take some pictures.
Wait, is straight bar or gay?
What are you? Are you a woman or are you a girl? What are you?
Rebecca.
I like Rebecca.
You like to like that?
Rebecca-licious.
12 for, he has 3 for 1, I have 12 for 1. I'm Carmen, no Jennifer. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
12 for 1, Wayne.
12 for 1.
Babe
At the
rental.
happy hour, you have to go to the website. You'll find out. It gives you all the details.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What are these?
My name's Rebecca.
Actually, still have Burger in front of me. I got one. It might have been silver.
I can't have you standing right here if that's not fly.
Why? Can I stand right here? Where do I have to stand? Can I stand right there?
All right.
She's a monster, but I don't mind. Right? Right? I don't mind. Yeah, you know, that was great. I almost got that going. Yeah. Wow. Hi, I'm Jennifer. What's your name? Who the fuck are you? Fuck. Whatever. Fuck her.
How you doing, Jennifer? Can I have one
Hey,
of your cards?
baby. Yeah.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah. You should take many. There's so many different ones. And make sure you have Sarah. S-A-R-A-H. Sarah. Sarah. Okay.
Careful.
Yeah. Hey, sweetie. You're standing outside of the strip club just like I am. No, we're doing the same thing, right? I need to stand in the street. Oh, that's the same one. Shit. I'll give you a little bit, Angela.
I'm more excited about the gun on her crotch. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, you know what the best
So that
thing
goes
is
on
a little
for a
orange
while.
chip.
But the weird thing is that I was so like naturally in that environment, and everyone's just like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, like, where are the girls, you know? And even though I look kind of crazy, I thought I was dressed really crazy, it was kind of normal and accepted. So I kind of just did that as an experiment. I didn't really have like an agenda. I wasn't like trying to fool everybody per se, like, so yeah, I don't know. It was an experience. So it was after that I did this squirting project that's in this show over here. And I used just green screen paint. Originally, I was gonna have some of my female painter friends all like splash water on, not water. They were gonna splash the paint on me while I just sort of posed there on the pedestal. So I would be really passive and the gesture would all come from off screen. And I thought it had been important, it was important to me at the time that they were like female artists and that they were painters. But then they didn't show up and I was like, wow, thanks guys. But I was like, it was like actually a great blessing. I was like, you know, I'm here, I'm gonna do it anyway. I was like, I don't need them, you know, and it ended up being, you know, a lot more challenging. The process of it, you know, doing it by myself, but I think like a much more powerful piece anyway, and I really like how it turned out, and I didn't try to do it again. So yeah, and the idea was that from this, I think it came from the bikini car wash that I had been interested in earlier, and there's these trajectories, I think, throughout my work where these things keep appearing and resurfacing in other ways. And the plan was always for everything, for the body to disappear. That's why I used the green screen paint. And at this point, I was really thinking about combining my painting background and my interest in the gesture and the mark as like a form of like identity making, and combining that with like my video and what was becoming more and more of a performance. Yeah. So, and after I did this, I was given the opportunity to do this performance during Prospect 2. It wasn't an official Prospect show, but I was going to do this bikini car wash video, and Parse Gallery, which is in New Orleans and unfortunately is about to close, had this huge backdoor space, and they had this truck there, and they were like, why don't you just wash the truck and do it like on the opening of Prospect? And I was like, okay, that's so nerve-wracking, but I did, so I washed, I'll show a video of it. This is my first real public performance for an art audience though, and that was something that I was really nervous about because I really liked the idea of performing in public to people who weren't necessarily like, it wasn't in an art context. That way I was like bringing it to, like I was always performing and bringing the environment that I was around with me, so I didn't have complete control over what was happening. But here I really controlled everything. So. And I kind of started thinking about it as taking on the character of these women who like do these bikini car washes and they're like covering themselves with the suds and like they're so into the idea of like convincing, you know, the viewer, the male viewer, presumably that, you know, they're doing this for him, you know, and they're feeding his desires. And so I guess I was interested in taking that humiliation, really that exchange, putting it on myself and turning it into this really like boring, monotonous thing and then angry, but even this like violent gesture is very repetitive and very emotionless. So then she goes and just relaxes, and then she goes back to working on the truck again. How are we on time? Okay.
Yeah, how are we doing, Mona? We're in good shape? Okay, okay.